Hello, everyone. As always, I appreciate you hitting that download button, whether it's iTunes, Podcast Garden, or YouTube. A big one, thank you. As you know, my goal is to bring you newer companies with great products, and today will be no different. Stumbled across my guests on Instagram, researched their products, and immediately added them to the SuppTalk site. Enough of my chatter. Without any further ado, allow me to introduce Michael Carrubba of Clinical Sports Labs. Michael, welcome to the show.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me. I'm definitely excited to people and have people hear what we do here at Clinical Sports Labs and a little bit about, or a lot of it, about why I started Clinical Sports Labs and what our goals and what our mission is. I've been in the industry for about 25 years. I've held several high-level positions, including VP Sales at Metrex, Sales Director for Champion Nutrition, and Category Manager for the Vitamin Shop, just to name a few. I also had a 4-year stint at the World Wrestling Federation, where I was a VP of Sales for their supplement brand called IcoPro. Really had a great time there, working right next door to Vince McMahon and everybody over there, great people to work for. In 2011, I formed Clinical Sports Labs with the idea that I wanted to create something different than what other sport nutrition brands were doing at the time. In June of 2014, we finally shipped out our first product, which is called Biomdi. And everyone's like, it's a thermogenic product. Everyone's like, Mike, Biomdi, where'd you get the name for that? Number one, try finding a name for a fat burner that isn't trademarked. They're almost impossible. But more importantly, we use an ingredient in our Biomdi and in our FEAR called bovine serum albumin isolate, bioalbumin. And what that is a transport vehicle. I found through the years that a lot of people ingest nutrients and just supplements really sit in the gut, or when they don't get into the bloodstream and don't get to the muscle to get utilized. We didn't want to create our products to do that, so we use, a transport agent, an enzyme, if you will, that helps the products get more assimilated into the muscle and into the bloodstream. If you've ever taken Biomdi, if you've ever taken FEAR, you'll know that you feel it. When we tell you to start off with one capsule of Biomdi or take a half a scoop of FEAR, we really mean it. It's not a marketing ploy to say our FEAR is concentrated. It really is. Matter of fact, this morning I was in the gym. I train at the Powerhouse Gym in New Haven, and 6 a.m., and I'm training, and some guy comes over that I know. He goes, Mike, I got to tell you, that FEAR is unbelievable, but you were dead on about saying take a half a scoop. I was like, you know what, that is no marketing ploy. I said, we really are a concentrated formula, and with the ingredients and with the bioalbumin, it really, really helps the transport and the effectiveness of the product.
Now, Michael, with the one thing I always say with our population right now, it seems like more and more people are becoming more overstimulated with all the caffeine and everything else. So you're saying that people are comfortable with half a scoop, which would be about 115 milligrams of caffeine?
Absolutely, with our FEAR. I mean, because we do put a couple of other things in there that help with the workout. We have beta-alanine in there. We have taurine in there. We have bitter orange in there. So you're going to get stimulated. It's not a product that you're going to find in a watered down sport nutrition store or something like that. You definitely will feel with a half a scoop. Funny, when I first introduced the product, FEAR, obviously, and let me just get back to FEAR for 1 second. Everyone's like, wow, that's a pretty cool name. How'd you think of that one? Well, one Saturday night I was sitting here watching TV, and I was like, man, I need to think of a name for a pre-workout. And someone said to me, well, what does it do? I said, it gives you tremendous focus. It gives you tremendous energy. Gives you a little bit of an attitude, like, damn, I feel like working out, and it's going to help with your recovery. Whether it's the creatine we put in there for recovery, or we put some other ingredients in there that are going to help your recovery, it's going to help your recovery. So the person said to me, so basically it's FEAR. And I was like, wow, what a great name. That's pretty cool. But, yeah, with the ingredients that we do put in FEAR, in this version 2.0, version 1.0 was short-lived, but in version 2.0, yeah, you will definitely feel energy. You'll feel clarity. And one thing that I get from people is they don't feel that tremendous crash afterward. Again, getting back to the story, when we first came out with FEAR, I have a team of athletes, about 13 athletes that I sponsor around the country, including a couple IFBB pros, a couple DFAC pros, a WBFF pro she's right out of Boston, Allie Webster. What we found is when I sent it out there, all the people were taking it were like, all right, it says 1 scoop. I'm taking like 3. So people were texting me, my athletes were texting me like, Mike, it's 3:30 in the morning, I haven't slept, and I'm vacuuming my house. You were right about this starting with a half a scoop. So, Yeah, when we say half a scoop of fear, we really mean it. And with fear, we have a couple more new flavors coming out. It is in the fruit punch. Everybody got fruit punch. We did the fruit punch, but we're also doing a green apple sour apple. I'm not really sure on the name yet. Green apple sour apple, and we're going to do a lemon ice. So look for those probably in the next 8 to 12 weeks. It'll take a little time for the labels. But, yeah, half a scoop, man. That's all you need.
Wow, very interesting because, again, as you're saying, with the caffeine being lower, again, I'm all about the lower stim products, but, again, the economy just seems too people, I'm kind of a broken record with all my shows. I think we're too overstimmed, and I see more and more of these products coming out 300, 400 milligrams of caffeine, which is just, not good for your sensors and everything else, but I go off on a tangent. As you mentioned Biome, let's talk a little bit about that again. I know you talked briefly about it.
Well, yep, Biome D was our first product we launched. It took us about 3 years to create. I didn't want to come out with a product that was just another fat burner. Didn't want to come out with a product for thermogenic. With our line, we have two different series. We have the competition series and we have the clinical series. The clinical series, which is a little bit easier to explain, are everyday items that people use. Creatine monohydrate, unflavored, unsweetened, nothing in it, the raw ingredient, just raw creatine monohydrate. Glutamine, again, micronized for better absorption. No sweeteners, no sugar, no fillers, no nothing else in it. We have a branched chain capsule that we came out with. The reason why we came out with the branched chain capsule, we're like, why capsule, not powder? We sell a lot of the branched chain capsules because people like to control dosage. A scoop can be a scoop. It could be a concave scoop or it could be a heaping scoop. With the branched chain capsules, you get that. We also have a protein powder, and our protein powder is clinical protein. It's got MCTs in it for intracellular energy. You could take it at night. Some people are like, Mike, we don't want to take MCTs before we go to bed. It's going to keep us up all night. It doesn't do it like that. It's intracellular energy, so it's not like a caffeinated energy or a stim energy at all. So we have those, but then we also have the competition series. And my idea for the competition series my idea for the whole line is I wanted to create a line that was geared towards athletes that have specific goals in mind. For example, if you're a bodybuilder or you're a bikini athlete, you have the goal of getting on stage. So you go onto your diet 3 to 4 weeks out, maybe longer, maybe shorter, depending on your conditioning, and you have a specific goal in mind. And you take specific products relative to that goal. That's what I always think of when I'm developing a new product. When I'm sitting here developing a new product, I say, okay, is this going to help someone with a specific goal? Because I don't want to do the BS stuff where, oh, man, we can make great margin on this, and everybody's taking it, but it really doesn't fit into the lifestyle and daily regimen of athletes that's either trying to gain size, trying to gain muscle, lean out for an event, flip a tire 300 times as they're going down the street. My products are created with specifically for the athlete that trains on a regular basis. You train 1 day a week, go buy something else. You're training 5, 6, 7 days a week and putting the time in the gym and getting it done and watching your diet, that's what my products are geared towards. With the Biome D, we wanted a thermogenic that wasn't going to burn out your adrenals. 100 milligrams of caffeine really is not a lot. And like you said earlier, I agree with you totally what you said earlier. I see so many, critical fat burners that are, 425 milligrams of caffeine. Well, is that really burning fat? It's giving you a crap load of energy, but ain't really burning no fat. Well, because you have that energy, you don't eat, but then, my theory on that is a little bit different than maybe others. With the Biome D, we wanted a product that you could stay on all the time. It doesn't burn out your adrenals because you're going to be doing a training session for 12 weeks, for 16 weeks. You don't want something that's going to burn out your adrenals and not be able to go back on it, something that people take for a while. We did a couple things with Biome D that I thought were a little bit unique. Again, I didn't want to clump it up with a whole bunch of ingredients, then hopefully they work. I mean, pick up some of these fat burners, like 32 ingredients. You got one ingredient that cancels out the other ingredient, that hypes up the other ingredient, that negates the other one. It's good, correct. And you sell them out a million bottles, but, it wasn't where Mike Carrubba wanted his brand. I am the CEO, I'm the owner, I'm the founder. I didn't want my brand to be like that. So we did Biome D. We put, like, N-A-tyrosine in there. Anyone who's taken tyrosine knows, boy, does it elevate your mood. But with any tyrosine, it gets into the bloodstream a lot quicker, a lot more effectively, and it's a more active form. And it does increase your focus. It does increase your mental alertness. I have athletes coming up to me all the time. They're like, Mike, I don't know what's in that Biome D, because nobody read our label. I don't know what's in that Biome D, but I feel fantastic. I've had we were out for about I don't want to say too long, but we were out for about 4 weeks because I messed up on the ordering, to be honest with you, in September. And people were texting me, inboxing me on Facebook. I was afraid to go to my Facebook page, my personal one, because they'd be like, Mike, I don't know what you're thinking, but I need that BioMD. I had boyfriends call me, leaving messages. Listen, Sherry needs her BioMD. She's been miserable for a couple weeks. It makes you feel real good. And anybody who goes on a diet always says, man, I feel miserable. You're not going to feel that on N-A-tyrosine. Raspberry ketones. Raspberry ketones, thank you, Dr. Oz. It's a great ingredient, but it doesn't work by itself. It needs something else along with it. It's got to be combined with something with noradrenaline for maximum effectiveness. Without that, it doesn't do anything. But when you combine it and it works synergistically with N-A-tyrosine or forskolin, it's a great ingredient because it helps increase the process of burning body fat, and it reduces fatty tissue. Because I remember when people were like, you're putting raspberry ketones in it, you're jumping on the hype. No, it really does work. We put quercetin in it. Why quercetin? It's an antioxidant. Yeah, you have all these things going in your body, and you have all these things that are releasing certain things. You want to make sure that your cells are strong and free radicals that might, anything that might be damaged or something like that are freed up and removed from your system. And forskolin. Forskolin, most ingredients, most products out there have 20%. Maybe you'll find one with 30%. We put 40% in there because it does break down stored fats. When you're going into the process of converting brown fat to energy, that takes a little while. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes about 3 weeks for that to happen. Yeah, you take BioMD, you're going to have amazing energy. You're going to sweat like crazy, like you never did before. We put Uhimbi in there because it helps fat to move more freely through the bloodstream and more effectively and maybe get converted to energy. But you're going to sweat. You're going to have focus, and you're going to feel good. But the thing that I was more concerned with, because I'll give you a bunch of caffeine. You'll get some energy. I'll give you some ephedrine or something like that. You're going to get a bunch of energy, but you're not burning fat. So what we did is we said, okay, we want to do the conversion of brown fat to energy, and that takes a little while to do. A lot of people bail out. I'm not going to say a lot of people, because we have a really good consumer group that really sticks with our products, and I love that. A lot of people will take a fat burner, and they're out of it. The fat burning category across the board, whether you buy it at GNC or you buy it at CVS or you buy it from us, most of you buy one time, and they're out of it. It's the highest percentage category where people drop out. Why? They don't stay in long enough for it to work, or just the product doesn't work. With BioMD, it's about 3 weeks later, you're going to say, all right, I'm starting to see a little vein in my shoulder. Remember who we sell to. We don't sell to, heavy people that just want to have a tremendous amount of energy. We sell to athletes that get on stage. And when they want to get on stage, one of the gauges, and the most important gauge, is the mirror. Now, when they start looking in the mirror and saying, man, my abs are starting to tighten up. I'm starting to see a little separation in my quads. My calves look really good. It's because the fat-burning process, deep down, the brown tissue is starting to convert to energy. And it's magical when it happens. You get into your second or third month, and I'm not trying to sell you 2 or 3 bottles. That ain't my style. You get in that second or third month, you're like, wow, I'm getting shredded. I feel fantastic. I'm happy. People want to do it. And it's all about the results. So, yeah, I'm pretty proud of BioMD, and we haven't made any changes to that product at all since the day we introduced it, other than the original version was a tablet. And I apologize to anybody who bought that product. Most people who bought that product got a free bottle from me already. If you didn't, let me know. I had this brainiac idea, and again, my forte is not product development. I had this brainiac idea that I was going to change the binding ingredients that held the tablet together. First of all, I said there's no tablet fat burner out there. There isn't. I mean, there may be a couple here and there, but most of them are capsules or soft gels or powder, something like that. I said, let's do a tablet, but let's change the binding ingredients down from, let's say, 950 milligrams to 100. And the people that were making it for me were like, Mike, we can't do that. It's going to fall apart. I'm like, no, just do it. So a couple thousand bottles came in, and I opened it up. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. This is like a powder. Everything kind of broke apart. So we put it back. We changed the binding ingredients to 200 milligrams, and I thought it was going to work, and I didn't check the bottle, and people were saying, Mike, I love your product, except 7 or 8 of them were all dust on the bottom. So we had to go to a capsule for that reason. When we went to a capsule, a couple things changed. Number one, every capsule in a bottle, you pay for 90, you get 90. Every one of them is perfect. They're red and white or red and like off-white, a little color. Every one of them is perfect. But the absorption rate increased even more. So when we first came out with BioMD, it had about a 45-minute absorption time. So we would tell people to take about 45 minutes before you train. Now it's about 30 minutes because the capsules get ingested or absorbed much more quicker. And much like with the fear, I tell people to take BioMD. Our recommended ideal dosage is to take 2 in the morning, about 30 to 45 minutes before you train, and then 30 minutes before either your afternoon meal. Again, remember, we're talking about athletes. They don't really consider them meals. They consider them feedings, like meal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So about 30 minutes before meal 4, which is typically around that 4 o'clock time, because it's going to get you through the rest of the day by mildly helping you curb your appetite and give you the energy you need. For most people, they get tremendous results with taking one, and this is, my sales team is going to hate this. Most of them get great results by taking 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. So the bottle lasts longer, they don't buy another one. But that's not a bad thing because you're going to get the results you need by starting to take one, see how your body feels. You're going to get a great reaction. And then a week or 2 later, take that second one in the afternoon, and then you're off and you're burning fat. And hopefully I'll see you at a stage and, you're doing the best you possibly can.
So again, just to kind of reiterate, with BioMD, it's for the hardcore athletes per se that maybe are in the higher single digits or maybe very low, teens, maybe just trying to lose that extra little bit of fat, but not for the heavier or the larger people. Just want to kind of confirm that.
Yeah, we gear it for that athlete that's that level of training, but we also have found that a lot of people that don't ever step on the stage are taken BioMD, which is fine. We get a lot of people that are starting their process at maybe a higher level of body fat, Sean, let's say that are at that like maybe 18 to 22%, and they're starting their, let's say, 4-month cycle to be able to get ratio. We see them jumping on the BioMD then and going right through. It's funny that in this sport, you see somebody that looks really good on Instagram or YouTube or somewhere like that. You see someone that looks really good and they're shredded. You're like, damn, I want to take what that person take. Even if you never want to step on the stage, everybody wants to take what Phil Heath's taken. Everyone wants to take what Arnold's taken. So when they see somebody and they say, yeah, what's your thermogenic? My thermogenic choice is BioMD. Even if you don't have aspirations on stepping on the stage, you will take it. But you are correct. We gear ourselves for that person that is floating around that probably 15 to 18 range and wants to get that down to single digits. And the funny thing about body fat, I mean, I trained, I compete. I competed 9 times, and I'd be standing next to people, and they'd be like, yeah, I'm 3% body fat. I'd be like, no, you're not. You're really not. I don't know how you're testing that, but you'd be 3% body fat for about a month, you'd be dead. So, I kind of take that with a grain of salt relative to the number. I was diced in one of my last shows. I mean, harder than I ever was in my life. I think I weighed 110 pounds. but I was diced and shredded, and the lowest I could get my body fat was about 8.5%, and I was a walking vein. But anyway, yeah, to answer your question, we do gear that BioMD for an athlete, but people take it at all different times. I have a lot of people taking BioMD about 30 days after they finish their competition because they love that feeling. They take it for that energy. It's 4:30 in the morning. I got to get on a bike for a half hour. I need something other than a large Dunkin' Donut Black.
And did you mention where the name came from? I don't know if you mentioned that.
Yes, BioMD was one of those other products that we needed a name for a fat burner. And as somebody in the business, try finding a name that's not already taken for anything remotely to do with fat burning. So I was walking around the house and looking at the ingredients, and the guy that helps me with the product development, Jeffrey, he has said to me, he goes, we are using that bovine serum bioalbumin. And he goes, why don't we play off of the bioalbumin? I'm like, okay. And I was, I had this silly Shaggy song in my head. Aging myself, but I had this silly Shaggy song in my head, and he was talking in that Rastafarian voice. I was like, yo, BioMD man, and I was like, that's perfect. That's the perfect name because in science it is the transport agent bioalbumin for the product, and then it kind of made sense. So I actually love the name. I hated it. For the first 30 days, I was like, no one's going to get this, man. We just need to call it Fat Burner. But, it's worn on me, and, people actually, I see people talking about it all the time, and I'm like, wow, that's the name that I kind of invented. It's pretty cool.
And it's original, like you said, I doubt you'll see any kind of plays from any of the companies on this, and, again, it's original to you guys. Yeah,
we had no trouble trademarking that one.
So I want to ask you something. In your original days, you said going back, you were part of Metrics. Were you actually part of the Dr. Connolly days?
I was actually with Rexall Sundown. Rexall Sundown was the company that bought Metrics and Worldwide. We bought them both at the same time. at the time I was running the Thompson Vitamin Division. Had been doing that for several years, and when they bought Metrics and Worldwide, they looked at me and said, Mike, you look like you work out a little bit, sitting here at 265 pounds at, with a 34-inch waist. Yeah, I do work out a little bit. Like, do you want to get involved in the Metrics and Worldwide team? And I said, what's the other option? Well, you can go look for a job. I was like, I think I'll go work for Metrics and Worldwide. So, I was with Rex Del Sun now when we bought Metrics and Worldwide, and great brand, and we had a lot of fun. I only met Dr. Connolly one time. Actually twice. Once in Irvine at the Metrics gym, and one time with in the purchasing process. Rex Del Sun was based out of Boca, so I was there one time for a luncheon with him. Kind of a real quiet guy, never really said much, but really understood the dynamics of proteins.
Interesting. And I'm a little bit myself of a closet WBFer back in the day, so I'm kind of showing my age a little bit, and I'm proud to say interact a lot with David Durst and some of the other people on Facebook, that is. Were you in the trenches with the actual athletes, or were you, again, behind the scenes more on the vitamin side?
Well, you're talking about when I was with the WWE, the World Wrestling Federation?
Correct.
Yeah, that was fun. My wife and I had moved back from Florida to Connecticut, and long story short, it was a time when I wanted to leave one company, my first company I started with this industry, called Strength Systems, based out of Bloomfield, Connecticut. Kind of like had a party in the ways, and my buddy said, the World Wrestling Federation is starting a brand called IcoPro for integrated conditioning programs. Do you want to come and work with them? And I was like, man, that sounds like a great thing. So I would drive down to the Titan Tower in Stamford, Connecticut, from my house in Cheshire, Connecticut, every single day, and I got to work out with some great people. I could tell you stories to beat the band, but that was right around when Vince did have the WBF. Gary Stridham, Tony Pearson, Eddie Robinson, who was one of the nicest guys in the world, Mike Quinn, who was just a great guy. But I also got to hang around with a lot of the wrestlers like Lex Luger, Big Papa Pump, Shawn Michaels, and I used to work out in the morning with the Macho Man. Vince would be there working out. And one of the best things besides being in that whole world, which I would tell you that Vince McMahon is one of the better people to work for that I've ever been employed with, just appreciates loyalty and appreciates honesty, is I got to sit next to one door down from Dr. Fred Hatfield, and I'll age myself on this one. He's known as Dr. Squat. I think he squatted like 1,019 pounds. And Dr. Fred Hatfield, or Fred Hatfield, if you read any of his books that are probably like very old now, but his science of training with the ABC method and the 6, the 12s, and the 40 reps and stuff like that really are still to this day are ahead of its time. And spending time with him and training with him and seeing what he was able to do and how smart that guy was relative to training. Diet, maybe not so, but the training-wise, man, I mean, it was a great time. And, great people, The Undertaker, all those guys, great people to work for, genuine what they do. And, at that point in time, I really learned that, a lot about business and how business operates. Vince is a great business guy. But, yeah, it was fun, man. It was fun. We'll get together and share some stories from the wrestlers because they're all cool guys.
I'm sure you probably see some of the magazines that still pop up with Vince being 70 and looking like, he's ready to step on stage himself. He's just an absolute machine.
Yeah, he is an absolute machine. He's a really good guy. He trains chest every day. As you can see. He ain't doing no leg workout at all, and we used to bust his stones about that all the time. I will tell you this. I was in the WWE Titan Tower one day, and we had a gym that was just fantastic. I mean, beautiful gym, beautiful kitchen, too. Anything you wanted to eat was fine. But it was Saturday morning, and Tom Platz was in the gym by himself. And, going back a ways, I mean, there ain't nobody who had or will ever have quads like that man. And Tom said, hey, how you doing? Good guy, kind of short guy. He was like talking to me. He goes, I'm training hamstrings. You want to train hamstrings with me? And I'm saying, okay, I know I want to train hamstrings with Tom Platz, but I know I ain't walking for about a month. So Tom and I trained hamstrings together, and I will tell you, I don't believe much, but when I see it, I believe it. There was nobody who can hop on a lying leg curl and automatically be in the zone to tie your mind to your muscle like Tom Platz. Tom Platz trained like nobody. We did about, I'm going to say, 30 sets of lying hamstrings, very slow, very continuous, very heavy. A lot of those guys like Tom and even I heard Arnold back in the day, they don't count sets and they don't count reps. What they basically do is they look at the clock and say, okay, we're going to train hamstrings for 1 hour, and whatever number rep it is that I can't do no more, that's when I be done. And I'll tell you what, I think my hamstrings are still sore training with Tom, and also to see him squat. We did a training video where Tom was squatting. Again, when he approached the squat bar, it was like going to church, man. I mean, he would get there and it'd be like almost a religious connection and just effortless. I mean, he would squat like it was effortless. But yeah, I mean, he was great with stuff like that. The other guy I got to spend a lot of time with was Mariusz Pudzianowski, and if you ever watched The World's Strongest Man,
yes,
he was the World's Strongest Man for a number of years. I toured with him for a couple weeks at a time when he would come to America from Poland, and what a great guy, and great with people. But he's another one. I mean, he's in the gym with his cell phone on his shoulder, talking in his ear, and he's benching, 5 plates on each side like you and I are talking right now. It was just incredible. So one of the things that I learned and got to do through my tenure is spend some time with some great athletes, and I learned a lot from them. And yeah, there were some jerks. There were some jerks along the way. I won't mention any names, but most of the guys were pretty cool. And I have a lot of respect for the WWE and the way that those athletes really treat their audience.
No, and Michael, I appreciate you letting me take you kind of off path a little bit here because, again, I'm a closet WWF fan, closet WBF guy, so I like to hear these little stories. And, you always hear through internet rumors and folklore and everything else, so it's kind of good to hear straight from almost the horse's mouth pretty much.
Well, I'll tell you, one morning I was with Gary Trideman, and this was right before he won the first WBF show in Atlantic City. And we're at breakfast, and he ordered 100 egg whites and 1 cheesecake. And I was like, oh, my God, I mean, first of all, how are we paying for that? And then second of all, it's incredible. Gary figured some things out chemically before anybody else did, and he was able to make sure that his caloric intake was high enough to be able to utilize whatever he was doing. But, yeah, it was like 100 egg whites and a cheesecake. I mean, but it was incredible. But, yeah, I didn't mean to go off path there, but I love telling stories like that.
No, that's okay. It's one way to carb load, as they say.
It's the history of the sport that makes me a better business owner and better product person, and have a lot of respect for even a team that I've built in my clinical sports labs.
Since you brought up the sport in general, do you think the sport is on a good path, or do you think we've taken a detour? Do you think we're back on path between you and I, or I should say, and the listeners?
Between you and I, 1 million listeners.
Yes.
I think the sport in general is at a transition. I really, really do. I think there's a number of disconnects that have been kind of rearing its head over the last few years. Obviously, the natural versus not natural. I don't take issue with whatever you decide to do or not decide to do. I think that when Arnold stands up and calls out some of the athletes at his own show in Columbus last year about the distended guts and stuff like that, I think that opened up a lot of eyes to people that maybe we need to change things up a little bit. I think things like men's physique really, at first I was kind of like, okay, this is kind of silly, but it isn't. Those men's physique guys train harder than most bodybuilders.
Yes.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for those guys. I think we're at a transition because I think that, the disparity with income to expenditure in this particular sport is way out of whack. I mean, bikini athletes, they train really hard, and they put a lot into it. They take a lot of pride to it, and you win, $1,500 if you win a non-major pro show? I mean, that's not even paying for, your food for the month. So, I don't know, I think that there's a kind of a disconnect with that. I've also seen that a lot of things have changed with the sponsorship level and the sponsorship parameters. It used to be that, you sign an athlete and you give them $100,000 a year or $80,000 a year, and they'd be in a magazine. And I think that as magazines have kind of like gone a little bit away, the need to have an athlete that you can put in a magazine has kind of changed a little bit. Let's face it, Instagram is instantaneous. You have an athlete, they're up there and they're, gone in a second. But I've seen how that has changed a lot, too, that a lot of companies, including myself, I sponsor athletes, and the financial end of it is one thing, but it's also providing them the supplements, but it's also giving them the exposure, because that's what, when you have 37 bikini athletes in one division, in one class, it's hard to judge them. So I think that the exposure that a brand can give to a bikini athlete, a bodybuilder, a classic bodybuilder, or anything like that, I mean, it is somewhat it has taken a worth also. So, yeah, I think the sport has changed a lot over the years, and I think that it's in a state where it's going to change even more.
Do you see men's bodybuilding losing traction like women's bodybuilding and going more towards the physique and the more, I'm going to use the word realistic type physiques, or do you think bodybuilding will still be around for, eons upon eons?
And that's a great question, and I get that asked a lot because I'm friends and I support the female bodybuilding. Some of my closest friends are professional female bodybuilders in the IFBB and in other organizations. and to see that go away from the Olympian, to see that go away from the Arnold is kind of disheartening a little bit, but I think it's the nature of the beast. Quite honestly, I don't really see much in the last couple of years between women's physique on that level and bodybuilding. Women's physique has become bodybuilding. But for the men's bodybuilding, I mean, I go to a lot of shows and a lot of organizations, and I see some great athletes like in the OCB and the IFPA that look fantastic. And then I go to like a other organization show, and they're like, there's 7 or 3. And I'm like, where are all the bodybuilders, man? I mean, where do all the bodybuilders go? And I think that you know, some people have said that there's no qualifying thing, and there is, but there isn't. Again, I go to a lot of national shows, and there's 1,100 competitors at like a Team Universe, which is a great show. Go to Team Universe, and you know, there's 150 bodybuilders, and the rest of them are not bodybuilders. I don't have an answer, and I don't have the solution why, but I just think that the rigors that you have to put in your body to compete at that level are so hard on you physically and long term. And I give credit to someone like Phil Heath, who's been doing it or Dexter Jackson, who seems like immortal. But you know, I just don't know what the future of men's bodybuilding is. Next year we're going to have men's classic physique. I think it already exists in a couple organizations, but men's classic physique in the NPC, IFBB, and you just see where that goes. Seems like they're looking for like a place between men's bodybuilding and men's physique. So, you know, I'm interested to see where that goes. But, yeah, bodybuilding I think has changed a lot. When I used to compete, I mean, I competed here in Connecticut, and I remember going into the Mr. Connecticut show and at the Oakdale outside, and there's like 40 guys in the middleweight class. I'm like, wow, you know, this is a competition. We 7 people, 8 people training for your class in the gym. You don't see that anymore. You don't see that anymore. And I don't have an answer or a reason why, but I definitely do think that men's bodybuilding is changing.
Yeah, as I say, I guess we'll just have to keep doing what we're doing here and just keep an eye on it. But as you mentioned earlier, you've got some new flavors of Fear coming out down the road. Anything else that maybe you could share with us that people can look forward to?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now we have 8 products in our line, 2 in the competition series and the other 6 in the clinical series. In the clinical series, you're going to see 4 more new products in the next 60 days or so. You're going to see a plain CLA powder. And it was like, powder? Yeah, we're going to do a powder because with the powder you can really get the dosage you need. The problem with CLA for a lot of people is CLA is a great product for burning body fat, but no one takes enough of it. Read the clinical studies on how much you need to take versus what you need to take in a bottle. You'd be taking a soft gel cap every hour. So we're definitely going to do a unflavored, unsweetened CLA powder. We're doing an unflavored, unsweetened casein. It's going to be 10 grams of protein per scoop. 10 grams of protein, I need more than that. Yeah, you do. But most people who take casein, what we want them to do is mix it with an isolate, which is another product. We're coming out with a plain, unflavored, unsweetened, all-natural isolate. The theory behind the raw products, so to speak, is that everyone likes to mix things now, and they like to control their dosages. So, you know, I laugh sometimes when I hear people say, yeah, I want a slow-burning protein before I go to bed. And I say, well, when's the last time you ate? And I ate at like 6 o'clock, and it's 10 o'clock, so I need a slow-burning protein. So you ate at 6 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock now. That's a 4-hour time difference. That's a 4-hour window of when you last ate, and you want a product that's not going to get in your system for 6 more hours? Does that make any sense? No. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an isolate plain. We mix an isolate, which is going to be somewhere about 20 to 22 grams of protein, and mix 1 scoop of casein with that. So that gives you that 30 to 32 grams of protein, which will give you the fast-acting protein, and you get a slow-acting protein. So you stay anabolic for a good 6 hours or so, but you also get the immediate protein in your body. We are going to do a branched-chain powder. All natural, no artificial colors, no artificial flavors. It's probably going to be a fruit punch type of thing. So working at it, I've tasted a few of those. It's going to be in a 2-to-1 ratio. I really believe that is the best ratio possible for branched chain ingestion. And then we're working on something cool called TL7. And TL7 is going to be an intracellular strength thing. So it's going to give you core strength, taurine, leucine, and playing with a non-water retaining form of creatine monohydrate.
So that's something that people would use for an intro workout, or again maybe in lieu of a pre?
I'm going to say intro workout. I'm going to say it's definitely going to be something that's going to be intro workout because you're going to get a wicked pump off of that. Your cells are going to expand. It's going to sort of like a pump factor. So you're going to want to take that intro workout.
Interesting. Now, what's the short-term? What's the overall short-term goals of the company, Michael? I mean, do you want to grow in the next 3 years to the next, muscle farm, or what's your short and long-term goals?
Actually, I seem to have this conversation a lot lately with people. I don't want to be like a muscle farm with Clinical Sports Labs. And nothing to say bad about muscle farms. I know those guys really well. Great guys, great company. We pride ourselves in really, really connecting with the consumer. I'm genuinely interested in how Kendra places in her show in Indiana. As an owner, I am. Every order that comes into our company, I personally sign and write a note to. We're really involved with every aspect of connecting with the customer. Do we want to grow? I'd be an idiot to tell you if we don't want to grow, because my wife will kill me. But no, we definitely want to grow. We are definitely going to grow. We've been mostly direct to consumer for the first year, and we've really, really built a nice business with that. We are branching out to that. You're going to see us in more stores. And I'm very, very picky about the stores I want to be in. I just don't want to be in a store because Mike Carrubba has been doing this 25 years, and I know thousands of store owners, and, yeah, we brought it in because Mike's a good guy. And then when Mike leaves, it's like, yeah, the stuff that really doesn't sell, but we brought it in because Mike's a good guy. I don't want to be that brand. I want to be the brand when they walk in the store, they say, have you tried this new pre-workout? Have you tried this new thermogenic? Try this stuff. It's unbelievable. Yeah, I know Mike. He's a good guy. But aside from that, this stuff really, really works. And I can't do that with 7,000 stores. It's not going to happen. So I'm very picky, and I also don't want to be on every corner. It's not my business model. I've been there, done that. I don't want to do that. I want to be somewhere where we can really, really work with the retailer or e-tailer, whether it's advertising or promotion. Let me get an athlete in there. Let me get a demo person in there. I want to be part of the community and part of the store when we go there, because that's going to be the best thing for the brand, and that's what I like doing. I don't want to be that brand that is in 7,000 Dwayne Reed stores. Yeah, I like it. It'd be kind of cool, but especially not with the clinical series. The competition series. The competition series, we really, really want to keep that dialogue going. I don't have $10 million to advertise like Muscle Farm. Sorry, I don't have that. So I'm relying on my partners, my athletes, my internet companies to get that message out there for me that we really make products that will help you, but we also are genuinely concerned on how athletes do. My team of athletes, I have 12 athletes, and I have 4 ambassadors. And if anyone's interested in becoming an athlete, email me, michael@clinicalsportshubs.com. We're always looking to grow our brand and grow our awareness. But they're charged with communicating, connecting with consumers. I mean, they all have iPads, and they go out there, and, I want you to go out there and talk to somebody. Man, you look really good. Have you ever tried taking this product? Or your triceps looks really, really good. What do you do for a tricep? Or I want that genuine connection because I want to build a community. And if you build a community, I think that then you build a better brand. I like to have 1 million customers, but I don't want that because I can't relate to a million customers. But we're growing, and I'm happy with that, and we're growing at an amazing rate. In the last 4 or 5 months, we've kind of doubled every month, which is just really surprising that the message is getting out there that we are doing what we try to do. But, yeah, to answer your question, Sean, the plans for the company are to stay, consumer-driven. I engage my consumers. If I have a really good customer and they're buying Fear every month, I want to know why you're buying Fear. And I want to know what we could do better to make it happen. And you know what? We do sometimes drop the ball and have pissed off customers, and I want to know why. I want to get it taken care of. So, I'm excited about where we're going, and I'm excited about what the future holds. We also have some international markets. We're in 4 countries right now. We are expanding internationally through a distribution network. So, I'm happy with where we are.
Now, for people internationally, because I believe I do actually have a couple of listeners, where can people internationally find your products?
Well, the best way to do it is to go to either a company called American Muscle Supply, which is based out of Maryland, or Sportica Export, based out of Connecticut. If you go to their websites and email their inside staff, they'll be able to make sure that you have access to our products. The international is, as you know, full of legality. So yes. Biomd is not legal in some countries internationally, and in some they are. And if I told you I had a list of those countries, I'd be lying to you because I don't.
So if I could just quickly ask you, because I'm always learning more about the international regulations, what is it in the Biomd that is prohibiting you in some areas? Is there a certain ingredient? Can I ask you what it is?
Yohimbe.
Oh, okay.
It seems to be a hot ingredient, and we have dendrobium in Biomd too, and that seems to be an ingredient that in some countries, I think in England, don't hold me to this, that Yohimbe is not allowed. We were selling direct-to-consumer internationally, and I stopped it. I sent it all to one of those two, either American Muscle Supply or Sportica. I sent all those orders to them or referred all to them because I don't want to be stuck somewhere and have a pissed-off consumer in England waiting for their Biondi because it's stuck at customs. So they handle all that because they know the legalese much better than I. It's hard enough keeping up with what you can do and can't do in the United States, let alone what you can and cannot do in Trinidad.
Of course. Well, look, it's been a very good conversation thus far. Is there anything else that maybe you want to share that you haven't shared so far? Maybe plug in the athletes or anything else you want to tell us and the listeners about?
No, I think we covered a lot of things. Obviously, we should probably do like a podcast just on my WWE days. That'd be kind of cool, or my WBF days too. But from an athlete standpoint, we do have a dozen athletes or so, including Chris Mosher, who's competing in the Kentucky Muscle Classic. He's an IFBB Pro Men's Physique. Linda Simnick, IFBB Pro Women's Physique, and a couple other pros. Allie Webster, as I mentioned, she's a bikini diva with the WBFF, and Nicole Weeks-Boyers, who's a DFAC pro. So, and I don't just bring athletes on. Every day I get a request for an athlete. And it ain't always about, like, how many followers you have on social media. It's not just about that. Can you add some value and worth to my brand? I mean, are you going to be honest with me and tell me a product sucks if it sucks? Are you going to be honest with me and tell me the benefits and features about certain products? Don't want to walk in pins and needles around my own athlete team. I value my athlete team. I respect them and I support them a lot. So we're growing. I want to get up to about maybe 20 or 24 athletes total in a variety of different areas. In my perfect world, I would have an athlete in every sanctioning body in every division, but I can't do that right now. But yeah, I'm really happy with the team that we put together. It's changing. I've had to let a couple people go in the last couple weeks as they move on, but some people move on their own, and we're adding a couple also. I got a great a bikini competitor out of Pennsylvania, Paige Lilly, who's just a dynamic person and brings a lot to the table and just have an awesome physique. So, yeah, I'm excited about our team. I love our team.
Now, will you be at any upcoming shows that people maybe can purchase the product or talk with you firsthand?
Yep. Yes, we had slated to do 15 shows this year, but I had a real traumatic knee injury. In May of this year, I dislocated my patella. My kneecap basically ended up by my groin. So I was basically in a cast for 6 weeks and then a brace for 6 weeks, so we had to pull out of a number of shows. I love going to shows. As you can tell, I love talking to people and love talking about training, love talking about nutrition, love talking about where's a good place to eat around here. I love have that dynamic. So we will be at a number of shows next year. Go to our website, which is clinicalsportslabs.com, or go to our Facebook page, which is Clinical Sports Labs, and look on the events thing. We are planning to do the Olympia in 2016. No, I'm not competing in it, but I plan on being a sponsor there. So yeah, we have a number of events that we're looking forward to doing, and come and meet us, come and talk, man. I mean, we love to sit down. My ideal booth wouldn't even well, it would show product because market people would kill me, but it would show product. But I'd love to have like a leather couch there and a table, sit down and talk about training and talk about nutrition, and have it real casual, because that at the end of the day is really important to me. Is that consumer dynamic. So yeah, we'll be at a number of shows, but hit us up on Facebook. Instagram's really popular. Our Instagram's been going crazy lately. Clinical Sports Labs, imagine that. And we're at the hashtag BioMD or Fear No Workout or We Create Athletes. Those seem to be like popular ones for us. And we're on Twitter, Team CS Labs. We really don't do well on Twitter. I don't know why, but we really don't. But definitely, yeah, check us out. Communicate. I'm Michael at clinicalsportslabs.com. I answer every email I get, no matter how bizarre they might be. But I do answer every email. Gives me something to do when we're riding a bike every morning. But yeah, hook us up. We're excited. And you'll see us at a lot of consumer events, especially on the East Coast and in the Northeast in 2016.
Now, it'll be interesting next year, fast forward to the Olympia, if you start walking around and seeing booths with couches in them.
What's that?
Now, it'll be interesting, fast forward next year to the Olympia 2016, if you're walking around and you see booths with couches in them, listening to people stealing your idea from the podcast there.
Yeah, it won't be the first time somebody stole all my great ideas, and I have a bunch of lame ideas too, but I just think it'd be kind of cool to go to Olympia, and, we have our booth, and we're sampling out Fear, and, we're sitting and talking, and I have an IFBB pro or two sitting talking, and you get to pull up, and, we're not going to charge you anything, and not going to charge you for an autograph, but come on, sit and talk training with Chris. Come on, sit and talk. Hey, Linda, how do you get that back to be as shredded as that? That's the kind of interaction I want to have. It may take a couple booths to do that, to be able to all set it up, but that's kind of the way I envision it. I don't know, like sitting and talking to John Mayer or somebody like that. I think it'd be kind of cool. Or Dave Matthews. It'd be kind of cool.
John, I could see John Mayer at a bodybuilding show. That would be hilarious.
Don't laugh. I've seen the odder people at bodybuilding shows. Jose Canseco, the name one, was at a bodybuilding show. He was kind of unique.
Yeah, I've come across Jose as well. He's definitely very arrogant. But anyway, Michael, in closing, last word to you. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. I want to thank you, Sean, for your time. I mean, you guys are at SuppTalk.com, and your Facebook page is Supp-Talk Radio on Facebook. You guys are a big supporter of us. We do run specials from time to time, and you can find them on your guys' Facebook page and your guys' website. You guys have been awesome. I love what I do. I'm very passionate about what I do. We're going to continue to do what we do, and it's been a great year except for the knee injury. I'm a diehard Mets fan, so I got to see a couple World Series games, so I was excited about that. But you know what? Look for us to really, really push the needle in 2016 like we did in 2015.
Yeah, things are going so well here, Michael, and you had to bring up the Mets. You just ruined the whole show here.
Well, listen, I'm kind of sorry about that, but
I'm a Mets fan as well. I'm only poking fun. I'm a Mets fan as well, so it broke my heart that we swept the Cubs and we just got spanked in the finals. But anyway.
Yeah, well, listen, you know what? If Duda doesn't make that bonehead throw to home plate in that game on Sunday, who knows? Maybe we would have went back to Kansas City. But I will say, if any Kansas City Royal fans are listening, you guys have an awesome team. I'm jealous. And I don't know who your trainers are and stuff like that, but is everybody in Kansas City a world-class spinner? Unbelievable. I've never seen more faster people on base paths. It took that guy, when he hit the inside to park the home run, it took him 15 seconds to go from home plate to home plate. Think about that. 15 seconds to round the bases. That's incredible.
It is ridiculous. Modern science, modern technology, and supplements. But anyway, Michael, I want to say thank you again for coming on. It's been a great conversation. And as always, I appreciate you, the listeners, for taking time to listen to us. Once again, be sure to check out Michael and his brand at clinicalsportslabs.com, as well as their Facebook page, Instagram, and, of course, I'm at SuppTalk.com, Facebook.com/SuppTalk. And as always, we appreciate your time. Happy Friday the 13th, and have a great weekend.